Hi, I'm Jess Oberholster, currently studying BUSN13004 over the course of Term 3, 2025. I'm studying the course Bachelor of Accounting with a major in Accounting, Management and Entrepreneurship. I'm completing this study part-time as I also currently run a laser engraving business based in Gladstone, Central Queensland, mainly focusing on the industrial engraving specifically for the electrical industry. I also help run an electrical switchboard manufacturing business with my husband through managing the administration. This presentation will cover the selected project, which is the Work Integrated Learning. I'm doing this through my current employer, Core Group, in Western Australia through the Accounting and Finance Department. I will then discuss reflective practice and the definition for this, then a reflection on my university learning so far. We will then dive into skills gained during the work integrated learning and lifelong learning. From there, I will talk through some strengths and weaknesses identified and how the learning that I've had relates to my career. I will then give a brief summary to conclude the presentation, with a final slide being the references used for the duration of the presentation. Reflective practice, and what is it? According to Amelia J., it is the practice of observing your own experience to better understand it. This practice can be done either during the activity itself or on its own after the fact as its own activity, and can be brief or more often exploring in greater depths. At its core, it means to take a step back and to examine the experience or actions and to take perspective of them rather than just living them. Reflective practice can be seen as an important step in not just professional development, but also personal development. In fact, reflective practice has shown to impact professional development so positively, it has become a requirement for professional bodies who are responsible for accrediting practitioners. This is evident in the CPA professional body, who require reflective practice through self-assessments, planning and evaluations. This is important as this is what I aim to become part of once my studies are complete. Reflecting back on my university learning so far, the units that I have completed up to this point have been a mix. This mix involves some that are more what I would call base knowledge units, centered around working in a professional environment, accounting 101, and communication, which sometimes felt redundant, as I've been working in professional environments for over 10 years now. However, it's still good to see some useful parts of the units practically so that I can use them in my career and also personally. There have been many theory units like analytics and business finance, and those show me the theory side of accounting that I can apply to what I'm doing now with the work integrated learning, as well as how I can implement things in my own business to further success the business. During these units, I have found that I have felt more confident in those units that I could directly relate back to my current workings, as I could see how they directly related back to what I'm currently doing and how I could improve those areas. The learnings from university so far have definitely been mostly relevant to my career, as I do work casually in accounting for a private company, which is Core, and also manage the administration and accounting for my two businesses. The learnings have also shown me where I definitely lacked knowledge throughout the units, and I found this in the units that I found more difficult, like analytics and finance, so they also provided me with the foundation to develop further onto those learnings. Skills gained during work integrated learning. During the work integrated learning, I've learned quite a lot of new skills during this period. For example, how to anticipate the communication needs from external parties like auditors, as if we are taking a while to compile the information required, or if we need to obtain the information from the archive, we need to communicate this to the external party so that they may either decide to work on other samples provided, continue wait for the samples needed, or they may also want to just start work on what we currently already have. Previously, I may have just waited until they either asked for it, or if they didn't ask for it, wait until we had all the items they requested before sending off anything, which could further delay any requests. I've also been able to develop further skills for the fixed asset reporting, capitalisation, and the grouping of items together. For example, a large piece of machinery like a dozer and the freight required to get it from the city up to Karratha where the operational office is located. How these transactions throughout the year may affect end of financial year balances, and what to look for when looking at both the profit and loss and the balance sheet for anomalies, like a credit balance where a debit or a nil balance should be. How a much larger business like Core reconciles the transactions quarterly for their BAS statements, and how this information is compiled and reported on. Finally, how all of these items and all of these reconciliations can affect management's decisions for cash flow and project timelines, including how the wrong data can cause a large flow-on effect due to incorrect decision making. Lifelong learning. Reflective practice is showing itself to be a lifelong learning process, always evaluating my own skills through both what the business needs from me and what Core requires of me to complete my job efficiently. It's important that this is something that is performed at least annually, as it will assist the business to grow through being able to see my own weaknesses and being able to outsource them to those who have expertise in those areas. That way, the business not only grows, but it also benefits from an outside perspective. It is also performed through performance reviews with Core, with my direct management. I'm able to bring up where I believe my weaknesses lie and request further development or training in those areas. And likewise, my supervisors are able to bring up areas where they may feel I need further help to better perform my duties. Strengths and weaknesses. During the work integrated learning, I've found some strengths and weaknesses in myself that prove points for further development opportunities. My strengths often sit around understanding how the system flows from one data set to another and how the transactions affect other parts of the system and reporting issues that may arise if transactions aren't performed adequately. From that, the Accounting 101 knowledge, like double entry effects, and through reconciliation, my analytical and problem-solving skills seem to be relied upon by others to figure out how issues have arisen and how we may fix them. My weaknesses, however, sit with a lack of knowledge on the fixed assets and capital expenditure, and often what classifies as capital and what does not, and how to capitalise those assets with their groups of other costs. Poor segregation of duties, often wanting to perform all items myself instead of bringing in others with fresh eyes and having the ability to let go of some items that I may not necessarily need to be managing. Often, if multiple issues arise that need to be dealt with, I will have issues with prioritising which ones to work on and often get mixed up on working all at the same time, creating further issues. So, in conclusion, reflective practice has played a critical role in connecting my university learning with real-world accounting practice throughout my work integrated learning placement. Through reflecting on my experience, I've been able to identify key skills developed, recognise areas for improvement, and understand how my contributions at Core help support informed business decision making. The placement has helped me strengthen my technical accounting knowledge and communication skills. However, it also highlights some areas for continued development, like the fixed assets, capital expenditure, and task prioritisation. Most importantly, it's reinforced that reflecting on one's own experiences and skills is a lifelong learning task that's useful and sometimes necessary for professional accreditation and effective business management. Moving forward, I'll endeavour to continue to apply reflective practices to support my career in accounting and as well as my professional development. This will ensure both my businesses and professional roles continue to improve and adapt throughout my life. This is just a list of references used throughout the presentation. Thank you so much for your time and thank you for listening.